have never been stood up before on a date. Until now, from what I can remember. I don't believe it's ever happened. So I'm actually driving back home from being stood up right now. And I wanted to tell the story because it's a doozy. The only thing that is just more bizarre than getting stood up in this instance is how it was done. Oh my God. I mean, really, buckle up for this story if you're in for a good story. And drop your comments below. I would love to hear if you've been stood up, how you dealt with it, what your takeaway from it was, and also if you want to diagnose this particular instance in a layperson sort of way, or maybe you're a professional psychologist and you could do it in a professional way. Who knows? I'd love a diagnosis of this as well. I'll give you my take on it since I just lived it and experienced it and it's fresh in my brain. So here's how it went down. I knew this girl for several years, at least several years or so, online, and always friendly. Good conversations, nothing much, but I would say in the past couple of months or so, several months, maybe more than several months, we just started talking more and more and just started developing this rapport and this bond and this attraction that we were building. And I would say over the last, I don't know, several weeks or so, it just intensified slowly. And it's like, you know what? It's ridiculous. We live so close to each other. We should bring this offline and make it a date, see how it feels, see if we like each other offline. And she was like, yeah, it seems like a no-brainer. So then we set up the date, which is for today, right now, obviously, or a little bit ago. And so I arrive. I give her my ETA before I leave. I let her know exactly what time I'm going to arrive. And so I arrive, I pull up at the mutually agreed upon locale, and I'm like, okay, I'm here, right on the nose, where are you? And she says, oh, I'm just, I'm on my way, I will be right there. And I'm like, okay, cool. So I just wait around, and I don't go inside yet. I'm just sort of waiting there because I like to walk in with my date. And so 5-6 minutes goes by, something like that. I text her back, and I'm like, hey, hurry up, come and rescue me before somebody kidnaps me. Like a white van pulls up on the side, just pulls me in and drives off with me. LOL. She texts back, she's like, ah, you're very funny. Yes. All right, I'm just around the corner, gonna be there in less than a minute. I'm like, all right, cool. So we're like in a couple seconds, I'm gonna see her. So like another minute or two goes by, a couple minutes. I'm like, this isn't adding up, man. This isn't right. So like, okay, where are you? I'm starting to feel a little abandoned here, a little abandonment issues. And so she texts me back and says, yep, I'm coming up right now, just now coming up. Okay, I don't see you, but okay. So another minute goes by. Now I'm really starting to feel like a sucker, like, yeah, for sure, something is definitely not right here. But the thing that would weigh against in my brain would be like, but I've known this person several years. If I had just met this person, like, I don't know, a couple days ago or the day of, and we just decide sporadically on a whim, hey, you seem pretty cool, we're both free right now, let's meet up. Okay, fine. That wouldn't be so weird. But when I weigh that, all this nonsense that just isn't adding up, nothing making any sense to the fact that we've known each other for several years or so, it's like, it makes it all the more bizarre, all the more sad, all the more feels the sting a little more. And the sting went away quickly with what's about to happen next. But it did sting for a little bit, so I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. Okay, so I text her back. I'm like, okay, obviously something is wrong. Are you okay? Did something happen? Did you get a flat tire? Are you okay? And then she wrote back and she said, here it goes. I do this all the time to men. I have them come over, and I just never show up. This is something that I like to do. And then it hit me. I'm like, I knew something was wrong, but I would not have guessed that in a million years, especially since we've known each other for several years. So at that point, I'm like, okay, I guess I'm gonna go back home then. So then I text her. I text her back. So at this point, the gears have shifted in my brain. I am not going to try to reschedule with this person, obviously not. I'm not going to try to win her over, I'm not going to try to be her friend, none of that. At this point, it's taking me by such surprise, and I find it just extremely bizarre behavior, so bizarre, I just, out of morbid curiosity, I just flat out ask, just curious, why would you intentionally invite people over just to stand them up? Why would you invite dates over just to stand them up? What's going on with that? And she texts me back and says, because I'm broke, I'm poor, I live with my mom, I don't have a job, I can't afford anything. This is why I'm single. And I'm like, okay, well, it's not really that big of a deal, for me anyway, that you don't have any money or resources. I was really interested in seeing you offline. The problem that I now have with you is you intentionally stood me up. And it appears like you do this regularly, like you're a serial stander-upper. That's the problem, and that's why I am no longer interested in you. And she's like, yeah, but we can still be friends, right? I'm like, no, I don't really want your friendship, because friends don't do that to their friends, let alone a date. And at that point, she shared with me something else. She's like, yeah, my sons only talk to me twice a year, and my mom doesn't really like me very much, even though I live with her. And I stand people up, that's just my thing. But it's okay because I go to church every Sunday. Oh my God. So I couldn't help myself. I texted her back one last time, and I'm like, well, you suckered me today, but if God exists, and I don't know that he does, I don't think you're fooling him, especially given the fact that this is an ongoing thing that you do of extremely bad, deeply immoral behavior. It's ongoing. I don't think it matters if you go to church or not. I don't think God is a sucker if he exists. I said something like that. And then, yeah, that was about it. So, I would love y'all's feedback on what you think this was really all about. Was it really just that? Is it a fetish? I'm curious, does she have like a hidden camera set up somewhere where she's watching me, like rubbing one out? Is she masturbating while she's watching me? And you know, is that a regular thing? Is that how she gets off? Like every time she invites someone over, a date meetup at said locale, does she have a camera set up somewhere hidden so that she's back at home watching while she's rubbing one out? Because that's how she gets off. I don't know, man. I don't know, but how bizarre is that? So just some last minute thoughts here before I close out this video. There's a lot of really bad behavior out there, and this one, to me, this strikes me of a person who's just, the phrase mentally ill is thrown around there a lot, and I think there's at least a grain of truth to it. There's a lot of people that sort of fit that category, and I'm not poking fun at mentally ill people. I wish there was healthcare of all kinds just free at the point of service for everybody who needs it, including mental health treatment, all of it. I wish it was just available for everybody, regardless if somebody has money or not, because it's just something that's deeply needed. So I don't say this to stigmatize it or anything like that, but I really think this person has some probably easily diagnosable mental health conditions going on. They're probably not getting help for it. I would assume so, but I don't really know. It's kind of a mystery to me. So the friendship, I severed that, blocked the person on Facebook and anywhere else we might be connected. I'm not going to respond to any more text messages, or if she tries to call me, I'm just not going to pick up. That's over and done with. And it's a shame too, because it was a good friendship over the past several years, and she completely destroyed all of it by intentionally standing me up, and the reasons that she gave, and just the whole thing that happened. That's not in any way, shape, or form acceptable. Now, when she dropped that line on me, but we can still be friends, I know a lot of guys would just accept that. You know, sometimes it's okay to be friends, and sometimes it's not okay to accept being friend zoned. This definitely was one of those times where it's not acceptable to just accept being friend zoned, or to have any connection with this person whatsoever. Just wouldn't be acceptable for me. But because this kind of, or just bad behavior in general, is so dominant in dating culture, the dating pool, it causes a lot of people to just flat out give up. A lot of people lose their minds over it. It's traumatizing. There's so many women, specifically, I can speak on that because I'm a guy and I only date girls, but there's so many women who are so deeply traumatized just by the bad behavior of the men that they've dated, that it's like, I don't even want to date said woman until she's done some amount of healing. At least enough healing to where she's not going to project those bad behaviors onto me completely unfairly. Like when I notice that, which unfortunately is a common thing, I have to just back out and bail, without ghosting, without standing somebody up. I'm never going to do that. I'll always communicate. But there's been dates I've had to back out of, or maybe a second date, because the woman is showing clear signs, clear indications of projections from other men who have treated her poorly onto me, and I'm not going to deal with that. Also, if someone doesn't show enough enthusiasm, if she's not invested enough in the possible relationship, the date, I'm out. Time is precious. I can't spend my time with potential dating prospects where they're just not invested enough, they're not showing up enough, they're not putting forth any effort, all those things. Having said all of this, the dates that I have gone on, all of them have been fun dates. Like, I can't remember, I don't have any memory of a date I've actually been on that has turned out bad. So I think that's pretty cool. And I think that's because I do a good job at filtering out beforehand instead of just accepting anything from anyone. I'm a man of standards. And so one of the criteria points, in addition to being enthusiastic and and not projecting bad behaviors from the past onto me, a woman that I'm going to date, she has to be attracted to a man who has standards and a sense of self-worth and self-love. And that gets reciprocated right back, because I'm a principled guy. But unfortunately, because the overwhelming majority of most people, most women, are so badly traumatized from the past, they don't have a healthy mindset. And so therefore, I can't even contemplate a dating life with such a person until they do at least enough healing to where they're no longer projecting from the past on someone else. Somebody is traumatized from the past, but they're at least open, and they're at a place in their heart and in their mind where they can work with somebody, say a boyfriend, then that could be extremely therapeutic, provided it's a really great boyfriend. That I'd be open to. So it's not like I would just deny any girl that's got healing, because I don't think that's the right thing either. Because I do believe one important aspect of a healthy relationship is being able to work on problems together and work through them, and in a way that's respectful of the other person and doesn't put the other person down, or doesn't try to gaslight the other person or make them feel like there's something wrong because of the problems that they have. No, none of that stuff. Just a very supportive, loving kind of way. Then if there's healing to be done, a romantic relationship could be really therapeutic and helpful and benefited from that. But when it crosses the line from that to just bad behavior, projections from the past onto me or whatever, no open-mindedness, everything is a stressful, dramatic event, there's eggshells that have to be tiptoed around because of it. No, at that point it's like, stay single until you've done enough work on yourself. So those are some last-minute thoughts and ideas. The search continues. The search continues for this guy right here to find a healthy relationship, a really awesome lady who loves men who have standards and appreciates the self-worth that a man can have in himself as well as his woman. And also one where the relationship does not at all resemble that there's human property involved. The treatment of human property that takes on many different forms, and I see it in the overwhelming majority of relationships, which makes me rather be single, so I'm single. But a good, healthy relationship I would get into, but one that I don't see as being a good, healthy relationship I would not get into, so therefore I'd rather be single there. So I am single. But going forward, I've always heard people tell me when I say things like this, oh Tom, it'll happen to you when you least expect it, when you're not looking. Well, I spent about 10 years or so not looking, not expecting it. I didn't care. Completely happy and whole. I'm happy and whole now. I just have this other wanting, craven need now. But point being, I was in that headspace for over 10 years and it never found me. So obviously that philosophy does not apply to me. For me personally, I don't think it matters whether I'm looking or not looking. And I think it doesn't matter because I'm not. Now that I am looking actively and putting intention out there into the universe, it has not caused me to lower my standards at all. I won't settle on lowering my standards. It's either going to be a good fit or I'm not getting together with said woman. A good, healthy fit. Mutually reciprocating, beneficial fit, reward, It's got to be a beautiful life, and it's not going to be a beautiful life if you got a relationship that has you sick all the time, physically and emotionally drained. Nobody has time for that, especially this guy right here. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Quite lengthy, so much stuff to get out. A story can't ever just be a story for me, because a story always conjures up so many thoughts and feelings and past experiences, memory triggers that are relevant and worthwhile bringing up. So hope you enjoyed that, and talk to you later. Mwah! Bye for now.